what's up? What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Gurren Otaku Council podcast. As always, I'm your host, Ace.
And I'm your other host, McMillian.
And today, we are coming at you with a review of the Netflix anime Cyberpunk EdgeRunners. But be warned, this is a spoiler review, so if you have not yet had a chance to watch it, this is now your chance to click off the video, go give it a watch, then come back to the video. Or if you listen to us to audio only, come back to your audio only platform and then take a listen to the episode then. Mm-hmm. Or if you just don't care about spoilers, then be my guest. Welcome aboard. So yes, that was your one warning. This is a spoiler review of Cyberpunk EdgeRunners. So yeah, let's just go ahead and get started. How you doing today, McMillian?
I'm doing all right. How about you, Ace?
I'm doing good. So before we get too deep into this review, I just got a few things to say. Mm-hmm. One being Studio Trigger did an amazing job with this production of this anime.
Phenomenal, truly. They always do a good job, though.
An amazing job. Yes, they do always do a good job, but they did an amazing job with this. It's just, can't complain about nothing, in my opinion. There's nothing to complain about. Two, the writers did a phenomenal job with the story, especially considering that they only had 10 episodes to work with. They told a very well confined story with the time frame they had. Once again, shout out to the writers. You guys did a wonderful job with the story. And then my last shout out to the English voice actors for Cyberpunk EdgeRunners because, oh my gosh, I just love it when you can find a good dub of an anime. And the English voice actors did a phenomenal job.
Indeed, I agree with all these points. I definitely agree with all these points. Hats off to all the people that were involved with this.
Correct.
Such an amazing story. Such an amazing show.
Well, all right. So we can just go ahead and get in here. So, I mean, just give me your quick, I guess, generalized opinions real quick on Cyberpunk. How did it make you feel?
The show made me feel a lot of things. I went into it thinking that this was going to be a nice little, side story or something that was like based on the world, that the game Cyberpunk 2077, which is adapted from a world that was created for a TTRPG. And I was like, okay, this would be nice. Returning back to this, crazy futuristic setting and having interesting adventures and stuff like that. And I did not expect to fall in love with the characters as much as I did. I didn't expect it to be such a gripping story. Like I was prepared for a fun adventure or like some wild stuff because if you've played 2077, the side quests are wild. Some of the characters are wild. So I was like, how far are they pushing the boundaries of this story? And they did an amazing job keeping that feel, the wild feeling of the 2077 future and like all the stuff that comes along with it, but also giving me really grounded and well-rounded characters.
Okay, I definitely agree with you about the part where you said they actually caring about the characters because they did a great job at making you care about these characters. But like you said, I did not expect going into this because I haven't played the game personally. I do own it, but I haven't played it. But I just figured we were just gonna get a high action pack, anime, just guns blazing, sword slashing and all this. I just thought that's what we was in for. But they actually did a great job telling a wonderful story, make you actually care about these characters. They just did an amazing job. Like you said, I wasn't expecting that at all either.
Yeah, so that's like my overall thing. Oh, and we already a little bit touched on the animation, but I love it when animation is not only used to just show like how dynamic it can be, but also like to emphasize what's happening in the story. Like the shots of cyberpsychosis in this, I was like, this is dope. Like the eyeball twitching thing, like it was such a. I feel like
the eye glitching out.
Yeah, I was so unique to show it like that because that's not how it looks in the game.
Okay,
I don't even think there's like a real identifier for cyberpsychosis in the game. It's just like, oh, you got cyber crazies. Go hunt hunt them. Yeah, if you want, like you can get bounties for them and stuff like that. But like, I like the way they did it, and then like certain parts of the show are like so defined by like a slight animation difference. Like the scene with Maine, the last scene with Maine and David.
Oh man.
The way they just
Oh
upped
man.
and changed the animation style made that shit hit 10 times harder. Like, what the hell?
Oh man, that scene was crazy. First of all, R.I.P. Maine, because I did, man. Listen, they was talking about cyberpsychosis, throughout the whole first half of the show, and then we get to the middle of the show, and now we see Maine going crazy and stuff like this. I was like, no, not the one black guy on the screen. We about to lose.
I hate to say it, yo. I hate to say it, but
I hate to be that guy.
But for the black listeners, we know, unfortunately, that the characters that we get in anime or other stuff is usually like the mentor character that has to die for progression. So I actually didn't expect Maine to die, but though I was like, the moment he started showing symptoms of cyberpsychosis, I was like, somebody gonna have to kill him. And I don't want it to be the main characters. And I was glad it wasn't any of the characters involved.
Well, to be quite honest with you, I didn't expect any of them to die, honestly.
Really?
Really. I didn't expect any of the crew to die. And when they just flat out took out Rebecca's brother, like just with the snap of the finger, I was like, yo, what the fuck?
See, the reason,
I was like, hey, yo.
The reason you didn't think this because you didn't play the game. Because the thing, the thing about the cyberpunk world, or at least, is like hyper capitalism at its worst.
Okay.
And so they will legit, people will just die like in the game. Even in the game, is depicted like death happens like that for some people. It's just something that is a part of the everyday. So, like, for instance, when Pilar was fucking with that cyber psychotic, I was like, if he don't stop, they are about to kill him. And the way it happened, it still shocked me, but I was like, I knew it. Now, Maine,
straight right to the chin.
Yeah,
no questions asked. Just get out of here.
Questions, none taken. And it was that's why I'm like, I really liked the show because it depicted the world so well from how I like established it in the game. And if you haven't gotten a chance to play it, like you said, you haven't done so, I would take the time to like play it and then like compare just to see like how much you can like notice is the similarities between it in not like just by visually but by tone from the show to the game, because a lot of it is very similar. Like in one moment in 27/7 you could be doing some dumb random mission like stealing somebody's car or like doing like something that has like low stake and it's just all fun, and then next moment you're doing a side quest where you're helping a detective trying to find kidnapped kids, and it gets real gritty and like stuff like that. And like the way the show did it illustrated just like so much of like the world, like how dynamic and fast paced the world of Cyberpunk can be, like how quickly it can go from great to
from 0 to 100 real quick. I definitely do have, like I said, I do own the game. I haven't played it yet, but definitely after watching this and after the game's finally been out for a while, and they went and patched it up and made it a lot better than from what it was on release, because it was rough on release. And, so I heard it's definitely a lot better from release. I'll definitely get around to it. There's a couple other games I got in line in front of Cyberpunk, but I'll go ahead and throw it in the list and add it to my long list of games I need to play. So the list is just ever growing too, because God of War coming out later this year, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Well, some stuff got delayed, but God of War still.
I'm glad some stuff got delayed, because these game studios, sidebar, they be treating my wallet like it doesn't need time to recruit.
Yeah, no, I understand 100%. Especially around, like you said, I do agree. A lot of stuff did get pushed back because we was finna get hit with a lot of stuff, for this Christmas break, and thankfully a lot of stuff did get delayed, so we don't have to. Our wallets can thank us in the long run. But anyways, back to the review. But one thing I do appreciate what they did with this anime was how they did not censor it in terms of the whole cyberpunk thing with the gore and the nudity. They stayed true to the cyberpunk thing. They didn't censor anything, which I was surprised, especially with it being aired on Netflix. I was surprised that they didn't censor anything.
I mean, there are some Netflix that are pretty shows that are like dark and don't hold much back, but I will agree. I was worried because like that is one thing also about the the universe. It holds no bars like at all in terms of stuff. So it was good to see that they stuck true to that good. Like nothing was censored.
Correct. And then at least as far as censoring an anime goes, I think a lot more anime should definitely, at least as far as on the gore side of things, they should start doing more of what Cyberpunk does, because you don't normally see all the blood and guts and everything spilling everywhere when somebody gets decapitated or killed. You'll just see blood or a cut off limb or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
You don't normally see all the guts flying everywhere and stuff like that. I definitely think a lot of animes should take note of that and start incorporating it in more. You don't have to be in everything and in every scene, but definitely in more, because in some instances, it's just like, how can guts and blood and everything not be flying everywhere in this type of scene? It's just like, come on now.
I think if it makes sense for the story and the world that it's telling, then definitely don't hold back on the violence. I mean, but definitely, if you're going to do that, you should also warn people, because I know that's not everybody's cup of tea.
I agree.
I definitely agree with you in that regard. Like, if it's called for, let it loose. And just go bananas with it, but type of stuff isn't for everybody. So and temper the expectations. But I will agree. Cyberpunk did a great job with that.
Yeah, and then like I said, I'm just also surprised they didn't come out with like two different versions of Cyberpunk, like I guess X-rated, rated R version, and just a rated E version, if you will.
That would have been interesting. I honestly think in some regard, that would have been better for viewers, at least. Probably would have been scheduling hell, though, to like for animators to go back and like take stuff out and or censor it or something. But the thing is, I almost feel like it'd be in a way also bad, because there's so much in the show that probably needs to be censored, like on the scale of like what they can show, what they can't. So I don't know. Like, it's interesting that because you get it's like, all right, we're gonna just censor all the gore and violence. Well, that's 90% of the show.
Yeah, especially towards the end of the show.
Yeah. So
definitely especially towards the end, things started getting a lot more violent, and it was like, well, we got a lot of work to do. We're gonna make two separate versions then. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so before I continue with my rambling on, is there anything one you wanted to touch up on before I keep rambling on?
Mention the characters, the world, music. This anime's music, the soundtrack is amazing, just like the video game. The video game.
Okay, I'm about to say question before you go too far with the soundtrack, because I'm glad you brought that up. Was any of the music in the anime from the game by chance?
Now that I'm not sure of, I should have checked. Should have checked that honestly before we started, but I do know for instance, if you remember in the marketing Cyberpunk, they made that sound they had so many different artists work on that soundtrack. There were so many different types of music and songs, and even from different countries. Like there's a whole Japanese band that worked with the whole making of it. So I don't think so. I think this also had a pretty original type of soundtrack, but I would not be surprised if some of the instrumental parts of something were also featured in the game or also in the show in some way. But well, regardless, so I just want to say the music of the show, very nice, has its own feel to it, and just like the animation, draws the more on the tone and the emotion of the show. I really enjoy the opening theme for one. It just sets you up.
You enjoy the opening theme?
You didn't like the opening?
I mean, it's just what? I mean, it wasn't nothing too crazy about it. I just felt,
for me, I mean, I'm not saying it was crazy. It was oh my god, amazing. But I enjoyed
by crazy. I mean, it wasn't anything special to me, at least in my opinion.
Okay, for me, so I wouldn't know if I would say the reason I enjoyed it so much it was special, but it was just that it was fitting.
Okay,
a lot of times openings are there to get you hyped for the show and stuff like that. But to me, this just felt I was like, this is a Cyberpunk song. That's this is a part of the show as much as the characters are for me. So that was about it. But the music, I felt overall the soundtrack was very well done.
Okay. Well, for a quick second here, I don't know what that was. I want to touch upon David's struggle, or I guess not necessarily struggle, his journey, if you will, because he went through quite a journey.
It was,
and to
a
be honest,
struggle.
and it's crazy to think that none of this wouldn't have happened if his mother didn't die. R.I.P. his mother, unfortunately. And then, but just that scene alone in the first episode, the way his mother died, let me knew we was in for a ride. The car, you just see they just driving home, of course, and the car pulls up on the side of them, and you just see these fat ass guns, and I was just like, oh shit. And then I'm thinking they, for whatever reason, they coming for David and his mother, but it wasn't even coming for them. It was coming for some other car. Mm-hmm. I can't remember if we found out who was in that car or not, but whatever.
I don't believe so, but it was. I believe it was supposed to be some. It was probably an important person or like someone of wealth of some type of like monetary status or whatever, maybe like a corpo or something like that.
Yeah,
because it looked like a limo,
type of corpo or something.
It looked like a limo type of vehicle, but yeah, the animal gang attacks that and they get caught in the crossfire and die. And one thing I also to talk about that, there's a scene later on at the end that not parallels but like draws attention to like these are what bad mercs look like. Don't like where they're like unorganized and they just do shit and that allows people to get caught in the crossfire. And throughout the show, like Maine's team and even later on David's team, they're until that one instance they never got like innocent bystanders caught up. Like it was very much like them versus whoever their target was, and they made sure to try and do it as cleanly as possible. So I thought that was also like pretty cool. But back to David's struggle, it was his journey was amazing. I really liked everything about it, like how each instance could have been like, this could have been somebody else. Like for instance, even his mom with him getting the Sandevistan or whatever, that could have easily been a different hospital, like EMT worker that decided to take that instead of her before she could. Yeah. And it could have been somebody else's kid. It just could have been sold on the black market.
My thing is, I do wonder how was she able to get a hold of it, off the guy's dead body and whatnot, without anyone noticing.
Well, it's probably the thing is they probably did.
Unless more people were in on it than we
I was about to say
originally expected. But
it probably was that people did know. Like it could have been like for instance, or it could be the simple fact David's mom, who I believe's name is Rebecca. No, Rebecca is the other girl. I don't remember David's mom's name, but David's mother, she seemed like a very likable character. Like I feel like, and even I feel like people would let her get a pass even if she did do something like that, not necessarily have to pay them or something like that. But I feel like everyone know, hey, your kid is at this school that tosses super amounts of money. Everybody has to work in this shitty ass place. I mean, hell, everybody probably stealing here or there from somebody.
Everybody's stealing something.
Yeah, so they probably, who knows? Her team might have been like, hey, we going to take a little bit of this chrome. We take a little bit of this one. You get the biggest piece because we like you so much, lady. So, I mean, I just feel like that's probably like might have been the thing. Or, heck, she could have been paying them off too because, like I said, they weren't really she wasn't doing really the best with cash besides like David's school. There could have been other stuff she had to like pay for, such as paying off her other teammates so she wouldn't get
teammates
out.
And stuff like that. Of course, we know they was behind on rent and stuff and things of that nature as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she was just a hardworking mom. Was trying to provide the best for her son and get him to into all the best schools and everything. Make sure he got the best education. So when he do graduate, he can get one of the best jobs in the city because it's tough in Night City. It's tough. And like you said, if you're not a corporate member or some type of corporate job, you just almost shit out of luck, which is even crazy because like I said, I haven't played the game, so just to see the different examples, and especially while we're still on David's struggle, for when they got into that car wreck. And then the paramedics pulled up. Oh, these niggas ain't got insurance. Yeah, just leave them there. Let's keep going.
Mm-hmm.
The fuck you mean just leave them there? Just because they ain't got insurance, you were literally just gonna leave people on the street bleeding like this? Like that is wild. Like that's crazy.
Mm-hmm. That is exactly the point. Like so, the whole point of like the cyberpunk future is like capitalism is reign. It's not even like a government. It's just like these 3 or 4 companies, I cannot remember how many, they basically own America. And if you ain't got cash, you shit out of luck. You can't do shit. Like so, like I thought it was such a the way they illustrated just that. It was just like, oh, David can be just as good, if not better, in school than all his other classmates. But the fact that he comes from the slums, quote unquote, of Night City, he'll never be as good. Even if he works, like he could, it could have been potential that he got a Arasaka corporate job. But the thing was, the school was trying to push him out, and his classmates. Like he didn't have no support besides his mom. So
even though he did get into prestigious school, like I said, the students didn't want him there, and probably the higher ups and the teachers and stuff like that, they probably didn't want him there secretly. And they was just all basically rooting against him. You know how it go. You know how things go when you're from the slums and from the lesser areas, if you will. But anyways, David was dealing with all that. He loses his mother. He comes across this cyber skeleton, if you will. Then he tries to sell it off, but then I guess through his struggles of grieving and losing his mother and dealing with the motherfuckers at school, he was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna put this motherfucker on. Puts it on, and then that basically changed his life once he decided to get chromed up with the cyber skeleton.
Yeah, and lo and behold, he just happens to have an affinity to it, and that starts this whole process. Meeting Lucy, joining Main's crew.
Joining the gang, and then
the main
struggles of being a part of the gang,
and then him becoming lead his own gang, and then getting caught up back in the corporate Ponzi scheme. Like it's crazy just how much like he started and then ended up not exactly in the same place, but like the same people were the cause of his end, if anything. Beginning to end.
And I mean, also then on top of it, you can also kind of say his own arrogance was his end as well, because throughout the show, there was always themes of him saying like I'm built. He even said that I'm built different. I'm different. I'm
legitimately. When that specific quote where he said that, I paused and I just laughed because I'm like, you're not wrong, David, but you should slow down. You got too much dip on your chip, my boy.
Yeah, you got too much dip on your chip. He was. It turns out, in fact, he was not built different. He was just slightly modified. In the end, at the end of the day, unfortunately,
it catches up to everybody except one person. But we'll get to him later.
So I mean, like I said, throughout the whole show, there was it was a theme of I'm special, I'm built different. I'm not gonna go crazy. I'm not gonna get cybercoast and things like that because motherfucker, I'm built different. But I think, lo and behold, as the show goes on, you can just start, especially like you said, as we start losing members of the crew, especially after we lost Maine, which took a toll on his mental. Because after he lost Maine, he was just like, you know what? It's time to toughen up and get even more chromed up. Because now once that happened, and I saw him get even more chromed up, we do that little time skip. I don't know how big it was. We do that little small time skip. But I was like, yeah, he's gonna go crazy.
I think it was. I don't know if they say it in the show, but to me, I was like, this has to be like a month or so later, or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Because we go from him, because he got like a lot of modifications done, and then on top of that, he live in his new penthouse and everything as well, and he's the leader of the gang. That didn't happen in 1 week. You know what I mean? So it had to be in some type of small little time skip, whether a month or two, however long it been. But after they go through that little small time skip and he's all chromed up and everything, I was like, okay, David, you think you the shit now, huh? But I just knew he was just gonna slowly start going crazy. But then you just see him slowly start going crazy.
But the thing I'll say, or like I think is interesting about that, or what's cool about that, those moments I feel like help illustrate or help point out the thing that David said at the end when he was like, the reason I do everything is because I personally don't have a dream of my own. Like I want to help propel everybody else forward, and I'm willing to do anything for that to happen.
To make that happen.
And his whole thing was like, hey, in reality, the thing in this world is whoever got the better body is top dog. True, in the world of the
which
EdgeRunners,
is something he learned from Maine.
Yeah, is that you got to keep pushing yourself forward and you can't stop. And like you said, Maine's whole thing with that episode where it even started off with Maine just running, like him in the past running until he couldn't run no more. I felt like helped illustrate just what it is like to be like a merc at night in Night City. You can get all the fancy jobs and stuff you want, but at the end of the day, your clock eventually is gonna run out. But what it's gonna run out from is your decision. But it's gonna run out eventually.
Yeah. Which is almost crazy to think because we don't know how long Maine been chromed up as well, but like he was doing fine, but then just one day he just wasn't, and here we are. But I mean, at least Maine, when he did go out, he still had some resemblance of his sanity because, like, when David came there at the end, he was able to recognize David for, him. He didn't kill him. He didn't go off crazy with him. He was even having a conversation with him, David, all throughout the end. And he was like, yeah, get out of here, kid. This ain't for you. This is, do what you do best and run.
Oh, yeah.
Get out of here. I got this. And it was just, at least I was glad to see that in the end, he wasn't fully gone in the end.
Oh yeah, that was such a tough watch though. That part specifically, because the whole thing was like David just wanted to hear the words like I can do this, like let me do this. I can be that person. And like Maine's final words was like, just get out of here.
No, big
you're
dog.
not. This ain't for you. But it's crazy because he proved like I even think like what Rebecca said it best is like no one believed he could have become the leader of the people. But I think what more so like what was said with Maine is like you shouldn't have to be this person. Maybe.
Correct.
I feel like that was more of where he was coming from. I think because at the end like Maine knew David could become something like greater, but I don't think he wanted that for him specifically. Like I think Maine wanted to still be like the leader, the person who's like carrying everybody. I don't think he ever wanted that specifically for David. But the boy stepped up, and then stuff just started going downhill because as we go forward, and even like related to Maine's death, we find out that like all this success that's happening, all of this stuff is like slowly putting David on the radar, back on the radar of Arasaka. And it all starts with that like job where they had to take the kidnap. I forget that guy's name, but it was like one of David's
Faraday.
old classmates.
That's who you're talking about? Oh, one of David's classmates.
Well, I mean, Faraday is
Tanaka.
the reason.
You talking about
Tanaka. Faraday is the reason they get this job, though. But like ever since then, stuff starts going downhill. Like Lucy, his love interest, leaves the group, and we don't fully know why because we're just like, other than, well, I mean, there's a hint because they're like, oh, we got to on this job. Well, yeah, man. But I was like, in the moment, it's like, oh, the Tanaka actually didn't have the information we're looking for. What? That's crazy. We did all this shit and he don't got the information. And I was like, okay, there's definitely something going on here. That can't be right. So, and then later on, we found out that, lo and behold, there was information on David, and that David is supposed to. They want to use David for this prototype of.
He's the one.
Yeah, they think he is basically Neo for chroming the fuck up. And Lucy's whole thing is like, hold on, wait, no, I don't want that life for him. So she goes and leaves the crew, and then decides to fight Arasaka by herself, even though she was shown prior to just be completely afraid of like doing that.
Which I thought was an interesting decision to make story-wise because you almost think that she would have a better chance fighting Arasaka if she just let the group know what the hell was going on instead of trying to go off on her own.
But I think so that illustrates two things I also like about the thing is like one thing that's told to Kiwi. No, sorry, not told to Kiwi. One thing that's told to David and Lucy by two different people is the only person you can truly trust in this city is yourself. Kiwi is the one that tells Lucy that, and then she confirms it later on because she straight up just betrays her. And Maine, while not betraying David, at the end of the day, in some way, shape, or form, you could argue that Maine's becoming a cyber psychotic let David down. In a way, you could argue that it's not it. It's more of like this was his role model type of thing, and then he set a bad example because as we see, when David starts to have symptoms of cyber psychosis, he does the exact same thing.
The same thing Maine did. Yeah, you right. I didn't look at it like that. But you're
Exact
right.
same thing.
Because, Maine's girlfriend was trying to tell, Maine that, like, she's like, hey, throughout the way they showed us in the episode, it all happened so fast. He didn't have a chance to slow the fuck down. But she was telling him, like, hey, you need to, calm down with your crone. Just that maybe it's time to dial some of this back a bit. And then, like I said, I didn't even think about that. But then, after Maine's die, David does the exact same thing, basically the same way that Maine was doing it. Like, people were telling him, like, hey, you might need to chill out on this chrome a little bit. David's just like, no, I can keep going. I can do this. And I'm built different. But he wasn't. I didn't even think about it like that. That's wild.
So that's why I was like, I really like the show because besides, stuff like that, it's like after Maine's death, it's kind of like the show repeats itself, but in a different form. So like, since we're still talking about David's thing, the first time he has a cyber psychotic, or like the first time we see him have one, at least a cyber psychotic episode, is when he kills that lady on accident. Well, not on accident, but he thought she was something else, and he shot her, and she was an innocent bystander. And as far as I know, that's never I believe even David said that's our first innocent person he's killed.
He killed. Yeah, that's what he said. He later came back and confirmed it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I'm just like, and he at first he kept that completely under wraps, and it's kind of like the same thing with Maine. His like first instance was like hallucinating about hearing people that weren't there, or like doing small, like almost like getting short tempered or something with people, and almost hurting the one person on the crew he really felt for was like Dorio. Yeah. And he didn't bother to like try and explain it further until it got real bad, and someone saw him, have a full breakdown, and they're like, "Hey, you gotta stop this." And he was like, "I'm just gonna take more immunoblockers. Fuck y'all, I can't stop shit." Like, and David, while David did it in a nicer way, because when he went to Lucy, he was just like, I can't slow down. We're too close to getting you to the moon. We're too like the crew is finally like back in a stable place. Like we're on top of the world right now. I can't do it. Like I would. Yeah. His was almost like a thing of like recognizing that he's not as special as he was, because he sounded hurt when he said it too. But it was just like, instead of being like as angry as Maine was, it was more of like, I knew this was coming almost, and I just can't not go push myself further. Yeah. So it's just like I just really like how like the whole flip thing, because he became what the story was warning him against, but like in a less aggressive fashion, I guess.
Yeah. And one thing, I know we keep talking about Maine a lot, but he was a good ass character. So I'm gonna talk about that.
Look, this is a black anime podcast. I'm gonna talk about the black anime characters. But besides that, yes, he was. Honestly, I think before. So like, if I had to place a favorite character, it probably would be him. And then after that, I honestly would not know the tie between.
Maybe after Maine, it's got to be either Lucy or Rebecca for me.
Yeah, I was like, it's a tie between, honestly, like them and David. I honestly really like David as a character. It's just rare for people to like have main characters as their favorites. I feel like, but like Maine, he was a really well-rounded character, because I just felt like he embodied like the fun side, but also like he knew what Night City was at its core, and he represented that, I felt like, really well, but also trying to be like the safeguard for his team. Like I thought he exemplified like all the stuff of a great leader, because he wanted to give everybody a fair shake, and he just showed that.
Yeah, but what I was gonna say was, I'm really glad they didn't make Maine fight David at the end right there, like as his final moments, because I don't know what the fuck I would have done.
That would have been too much of a cliche for me if they made him fight him. And what happened in my opinion, hit way harder.
It did. It definitely did.
Because it was just like a conversation of like someone who was in their prime just moments, if not just moments ago, not even like days, moments ago, like when this day started, and slowly deteriorated, and was just like, as much as I want to keep going, I can't. And you're not ready for this. This isn't the end of your story. You need to go. This isn't you. Like, that was such a powerful moment. and especially the way it ended too, because like you just get Lucy calling that like last scene of Lucy just calling David over and over again,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden the car shakes and he's sitting there with Maine's arm just like and no sound. It's just that's the end of the episode. That was such a.
And when I saw him with the arms, I was like, damn, that was some hella foreshadowing. Because like a couple episodes ago, he was like, hey, when you die, I want your arms. And he was like, you know what? Man was like, you know what? Deal, little man. If I die, they're all yours. Then it's just, like you said, he came back to the car with him. And I was just like, oh, man, this ain't how it was supposed to happen.
Nope.
This is not how it was supposed to go down.
Not at all. And it just, they did it in such a good way.
Yeah. It was, I don't know. Like, I think, what was that? Episode 6 when Maine died? It was either episode 4, not 4, 5 or 6, whichever one it was. It almost felt like a climax in his own self. Like,
oh yeah, no, it was definitely if this was split into cores, that would have been core 1 right there. That would have ended
100%.
core 1, and we would have been on a cliffhanger to see what would have happened. That was definitely like a climactic scene, or just a climax in general, and what happened after was like almost a different story. It was like, this is David's life as a child becoming a merc, like a citizen to merc, and then this is the end of his legend. Was like core 2. Like this is him setting up. Like this is him like seeing him at his prime, and then the fall. That was core 2.
And then because we need to get off of David here, but towards the end, like you said, we also been getting this foreshadowing of this Chrome junkie legend, if you will. I think his name was Adam Smasher. We've been getting little hints and pieces about him throughout the whole show, and then of course for the final episode is Adam Smasher versus David, and you think David is gonna, even though David might go crazy in the end, that he's still gonna prevail, but that was not the case at all.
That whole thing. Those last like 3 or 2 episodes had me so conflicted because when he finally got into the skeleton or whatever, I was like, this is the rawest shit I have seen. Oh my god! But it was like in between those moments of action were those moments of like seeing David get injected with the immunodepressants and like him coughing up blood, and I'm like, this is such a bittersweet like moment, because I'm like, I love seeing him let loose, but at the end of the day, I know what it's about to cost.
You knew it was over with at the end of the day. Like the question was, is David gonna die? We know David's gonna die at this point. The question is, how was he gonna die?
Yeah, what was gonna take him out? And one thing also is cool, if you Adam Smasher is also prevalent in the game.
Okay.
That is not a spoiler because they show him in the trailers for anybody who was about to get mad. And it was, so when they mentioned him in the show, I was like, oh, is that how they gonna do it? And it was, it's how it happened, but I did not expect the way the events occurred to happen just like that. So like,
yes,
I kudos for like the foreshadowing in this show is great.
It was great. It was great.
Like, because it set up everything in a way like, oh, you knew, like, it was like if you paid attention, you like to the foreshadowing, you knew probably like where stuff was going to go. How it happened though was a wild ass.
Yeah, and then so we end David's story with him dying and getting killed by Adam Smasher. But even though he lost the battle, technically he still won the war because he was able to save Lucy at the end of the day, and he was able to still help Lucy achieve her dream. Yeah. So I mean, in David's mind, he did all he needed to do. And Lucy's still alive, and she got her dream accomplished. So he can die happily.
I love that last part. Not like Lucy on the moon was bittersweet too, because I was like, oh, she got what she wanted, but obviously because her dream evolved to having David come with her. That was very obvious throughout the show. But like that last moment between David and Adam Smasher, where Adam Smasher's like, I like you, kid. And it was like basically, I guess I don't know if they were gonna make David like Adam Smasher's training partner or some shit, but it seemed like he was trying to offer him a deal, and David was like, "You fucking crazy, end me," or something. He was basically like, just why the fuck would I, or something like that. And he just I like that because it's kind of it's such a drastic different turn for like, you know how you said like Maine was surreal during
Mhm.
like his end thing. You could tell David knew exactly what the fuck was going on or like about to
Yeah.
happen, but it was just like the way he treated it was like, bro, like it's the end of it's over. Like stop talking to me.
Hey, bro, just shut up. Do it now. Get the fuck on. Would you have accepted Adam Smash's deal?
I think. Oh no, probably not. If I was in David's position, if I would done everything that David did, I think I would have known that I would have been in the same thing. I think I would have known my time. That's the end of my time.
A big whatever, guy, like this is it.
Whatever comes after is not going to be as good, and it's definitely not going to live up to where I wanted my story end to be.
Yeah.
Because like Lucy said earlier in the anime, it's not the fact that she didn't think David could become a good edge runner or an edge runner, period. It was the fact that all edge runners legends end the same with their death. It's not them living into infamy. It is their death is what like stamps their legend. And I think the way he decided to go out, I think stamped his legend.
Like, yeah, he got taken up by Adam Smasher. I mean, there's not another greater way you can get into Valhalla, if you will.
Cyberhalla.
Oh man, if there is a Cyberhalla, David is there. Goddamn it, my boy went out like a warrior.
Everybody in the Edge Runner crew, except maybe Pilar, I don't know, is probably there.
I guess except for Pilar, maybe Kiwi.
I have so I know I don't know how long we want to spend on this, but I have such conflicting feelings about Kiwi. It is like that, fuck Rachel part, but also like she decided at the end, she truly decided to be like, I'm fucked up. I did a fucked up thing here.
But my thing, like, I just, even though like you said, Kiwi was the one who was foreshadowing and telling everybody, she made the foreshadow was, you can't trust nobody in Night City but yourself. Even all that, even after all that, you still gonna turn on the crew like that though?
I mean, so one thing I really liked about that, not like the betrayal, but like the repercussions of the betrayal. Even in the game, there's gangs you meet like a lot of gang leaders in like over the course of Cyberpunk 2077. And the one thing is that the thought process, or like at least the whole overarching thing of like you can't trust anyone but yourself, is also there. But another thing is like any of like the gang members will tell you, or like leaders, they'll be like, this is also a family. And if I can't trust them, I can't trust nobody. So it's like she really reaped like the reward of betraying the people who had her back most in that life. Because at the end of the day, Faraday, while an amazing character, proved he was out for numero uno. He just wanted the corporate gig. That was it. He was like, I'm done. I don't want to work with merch no more. After this, I'm set. Fuck you.
He was like, I'm good to go.
It is wild that he survived in all of them.
Correct.
It is crazy.
Correct. But then now that we done with Dave, I just want to touch upon this real quick, because I mentioned earlier that I really didn't expect any of the crew members to die, but I really did not expect Rebecca to die. And they really she went out the same way her brother did, just out of nowhere, and it was fucked up. And that one hurt. Like, oh man, listen, I thought Rebecca was gonna make it.
Like I said,
then Adam Smasher crazy ass just come falling out the sky, and I'm just like, oh my god.
Like I said, I walked into this anime expecting, I don't know, like, well, it's kind of, I was about to say, I walked into this anime expecting stuff like Gurren Lagann, and I got exactly that technically. But I mean, like, I walked in here expecting high octane fights, weirdness from just like in the cyberpunk world, and what I got was like akin to Devilman Crybaby, or like others, or other like dark shows with like sad, where shit gets real sad real fast because Rebecca's death. Mind you, this is the same episode where David's hallucinating and Rebecca's like, I'll go with you. Like, for instance, like he was like, look, Mom, I'm going to the top of Arasaka Tower, and he sees his mother in Rebecca, and she's like, good, we'll go together. And I was like, no, please. They save Lucy. They save Lucy. Rebecca's still alive. I'm like, okay, cool. Adam Smasher falls out of the sky. She was like, "Will you give us a fucking moment?" And she just
Yeah,
when I tell you I was upset.
Because look, because like you said, Adam Smasher's come through the ground. I'm just like, I just know David pulled up and saved her, right? I just know David pulled up and saved her, right?
Did some with the gravity controls. He made
I know
he made his zero
something crazy. And then all you see all the rubber, and then the smoke just clear, and then you just see Rebecca's body. They're just all smashed up. And I was just like, oh no! I was like, no, like how? She was the one. She was the one. If anybody should have lived, it should have been Rebecca.
My girl got body parts over here, over there. It was not great. It was just so bad. Like that was just that whole last episode was just a nightmare scenario. But like But I felt like, but if anything less happened, I don't know. I would have been like, okay, they got off a little bit too scot free. But like this, the way it didn't feel cheap.
No, it didn't.
Everything that happened felt justified. Everything that happened. As mad as I want to be at the writers for doing that.
Listen, there was no plot armor involved in that final episode.
At all. None.
It was no plot armor involved. It was thrown out the window. God damn it. The only plot armor that we had was Lucy, and that was just for the sake of the story at the end of the day.
I mean, even with her, the thing was she was a high value asset, so they weren't gonna kill her. That we knew that. Two, when it came time for her to be rescued, we knew that the driver was still alive, so he could have got her. And then two, Adam Smasher only wanted David, really. Like everybody else was kind of just like, it's like if you got in his way, he'd kill you. And then no one really could chase after Lucy and what's his name? Hold on.
Yeah, I don't want to say his name. Falco. I was about to say I know something with. I was gonna call him Floyd for some reason.
At least you knew it was an F.
Yeah,
it was an F. But like for Falco's whole thing, he was on the side. We knew he was probably gonna be the getaway driver in the first place. And like no one could chase him because David destroyed all the hell. David killed if David did not kill everyone in that corporal room, he at least injured them enough to where they were like, I'm not chasing. I ain't getting in the middle of this shit. It's Adam Smasher and a nigga that can control gravity. It's over. Like,
yeah. Also, because I don't know if I recalled that correctly, the place where the final battle took scene, was that not where the intro action scene took place as well?
Arasaka Tower, no. When you say intro action scene, do you mean
like when David was in that BD dream and he was living the life of that crazy cyber psycho?
Yeah. The Colonel dude. Oh, I don't think so. I think based on what I remember, I think that was like in maybe in a center part of Night City. That could have been by Arasaka Tower, but I don't think it was at Arasaka Tower because he just pulled up on a random police officer and just let loose, which also I thought was very accurate to Cyberpunk because if anyone played the game, the way the game opens is also just very violent. So I was like, we're on brand. There we go.
We're on brand. Yes. Oh man, yeah. I don't know. I guess it's because they played a lot of like similarities from that first scene to the final scene, which made me think it was the same place.
Like I said, EdgeRunner. Like it did a great job doing that loop type of thing, like relating stuff back to the beginning. But I don't think he was at Arasaka Tower. I think he might have been just in a central location within like Night City. So yeah, but
okay.
If that is true, if you are right, that's a very good catch. But I don't think that was the case.
Yeah, I don't think it was the case either. But like I said, it was just a lot of similarities that I did notice from the intro to the finale that just kind of made me think, like, is this the same spot? Like, did we really end where we began? Like, did they really just do this? But like I said, I'm not sure it was, though. It's just like, I don't know. Like I said, part of me wants to believe it was, but then part of me was like, nah, you're digging a little too deep now.
I feel you.
Yeah. Man, damn, this was a good show. Like, I'm really like, if I did have one complaint about the show, it would be that it was only 10 episodes.
See, I feel that way too, but I think the best way to end something or like to do something is leave people wanting more and not like
No,
have them
I feel
dislike
you on
it.
that, but I'm just
So
like they could have gave us like 12 or
just
15
a
or
bit more.
something. Like
I
I don't
if
know,
they're
man. Like it
so
was just so good. Like you just after watching it, just like, oh, why
yeah
is it
no
over with?
I mean it's so good that one of the like if you type in Cyberpunk EdgeRunners, there's people begging like desperately wanting a season 2,
Well, I
and I
can
don't.
definitely. Well, I don't think they would necessarily do a Edge Runner sequel, but I can see them coming back with
Was
another Cyberpunk story.
Yeah, so the thing I was thinking, I was like, they could do Edge Runners, but not
Hmm.
like specifically David's crew, because Edge Runner is just another name for Cyberpunk. Like
Yeah,
it could be like legitimately, they could just have Edge Runner as a tag, and it could be
yeah,
a anthology series where like a different season like is like different people or a different crew.
yeah. But
But
I definitely think this anime did too well for them to not come back with some type of sequel in some way.
well, I
Um,
know. Well, one thing I know is that they definitely one of these DLCs for 2077 has to
mhm.
do something. Has to at some point touch on what happened in the anime. Now, granted, there are Easter eggs already in the game to David because the Edge Runners takes place 1 year before the events of
Of
Cyberpunk
this.
2077.
Okay,
Yeah.
interesting.
So, and you can actually find David's mom's jacket in the game by doing
Oh,
a
that's
quest.
cool.
I didn't know that. I didn't even cause I think I might have missed out on that when I played it.
I also heard you could find Rebecca's shotgun in the game as
Yeah,
well.
you can find her shotgun. Also, the place where her and her brother, her and Pilar lived.
Oh,
Uh,
that's
Someone
okay.
said, like it's very much so was a love letter just to like the universe. So, I mean, at some point the DLC, I feel like they had, based on the popularity of it, I feel like a DLC has to come out to expand a little bit more or tie in some stuff into Edge Runners into the game. Like too many people liked it, so I just think that'll have to happen. But like if they do come out with another season, I do think it would probably just be like an anthology. Like we'll get a whole different crew.
No,
I'm
I
not
agree
sure
as
like
well.
how.
No, I agree. Like, no, the way they concluded David's story, like, no, that's done. We don't need to do it. We don't need to do anything else with this. Even Lucy, leave her be. We're done with that
Yeah,
whole crew.
I think if they do anything with Lucy or Falco cameos, I don't think they
Yeah,
should ever. I don't know if they'll ever like. There are sometimes ways to make it so like the story can focus on them, but at least my thing with Lucy, she's on the moon, and as far as I know, in the game, there ain't no way to get there. At least somebody, I feel like somebody would have mentioned that, so I don't know how that works, but I definitely think like they'll add in something. I feel like based on just how popular the show is, I feel like they're gonna add something to the game for them. But yeah, no, the Edge Runners had an amazing ending. I really don't think they should do anything to really
no,
tarnish that.
I agree. I agree 100% on that.
Mm-hmm.
They did a wonderful job with the story. And like you said, they just it's done. Leave it alone. Don't touch it. Let it sit. Let it marinate. This is it. We're done. No more modifications. Oh man, it's just like I said. I just really wish we got more into the episodes, just because it was just that good.
I feel you. I personally, I don't know if I wanted more episodes. I just wanted more. I wanted more stuff like that. I wanted more stuff like just this show. Like I was like, hey, if you could bring me a different Merc crew, one that's not even like as good as this, and you tell their story, I would enjoy it because there's just so much you can do with the cyberpunk world or universe because it's so expensive. I mean, like the game does a great job showing it too, just because the really good side quests are phenomenal. I'd be like, I was like, yo, y'all didn't want to make a book out of this shit. Like, someone could have sold this the way they did like that. So it's crazy. It's a really good show.
Yeah, yep, I agree 100%. Oh man. Well, is there anything else you want to touch upon, sir?
Before we get to ratings, the only thing I would probably say is I asked you to. Well, we talked about this question briefly before we decided to record,
Okay.
but I told you to save your answer. So now that we're recording, I'll phrase it to you. So, would you ever see yourself wanting to live in the cyberpunk world or universe?
It's hard to say no, but then at the same time, it's like hard to say yes. But overall, yes, because just because of the technology alone. I mean, as being a nerd and a geek, seeing technology like that in Cyberpunk is just just blows my mind. Is everything we ever want.
I feel that.
As a nerd. So it's just like, sign me up. What do you mean? What do you mean? I don't want to live in a world like this. Just flying cars and everything. Just people with swords coming out of their arms and stuff like that. Like, bro, what are you talking about? It might be a little rough, but at the same time, a little rough. If you make a lot of little, but I mean, if you make it to the top of that world, you living a life.
That's and what's so you saying that's a whole premise of, or at least a big part of the game is like, if you make it to the top, the world's your oyster. And I was like, so for me, at least my answer to this question is, I gotta be born rich. That's the only way. That's the only way. That's the only way. I'm not.
That's the only way. Not even middle class.
No. No. I don't know. See, the thing is, they never show you. See, the thing is, and one thing I would love to see for EdgeRunners, and if they could do something in the game, they never really show you what middle class look like in EdgeRunners or in the game, really. You see either the very high or like the very bottom. I don't even know.
Would you consider like where David was, after the time skip? Would you consider that middle class?
No, that's the top. What? That boy.
Would you say that was the top? I mean, because he would because technically the top of the night see the world would be if you were a corporal or something like that.
So, well, I mean. It doesn't necessarily have to be like you're a corporal. I just think like living lavishly, like not having to worry or struggle.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure for him, like, because him edge running after he made it like to that penthouse and stuff, that was more so to get Lucy's like. That was one, he enjoyed it. Two, he was trying to get Lucy to the moon, which probably cost like exuberant amounts of money. And I don't even know how much they had to get more for her to go to the moon, because it didn't. The house they were in was, I mean, not house, but the condo or apartment was very extravagant. So, and even in the game, like when there's a ending where V, who is the main character of the video game, or your character in the game, kind of gets a similar ending where he's like super rich and he ain't really got to worry about nothing, and that's considered like, I'm king of the world, top dog stuff. But they don't really never show like middle, like I'm not wanting for much looks like in Cyberpunk. They never show like that. They show you like, I'm hungry, I want to take over shit. Like they show that type of stuff, but they never show like, I'm content. I got a house.
No, I'm chilling.
Yeah, like
my car got shut off.
My car got jacked, but I have like a good security. I don't got the best security plan. I got the middle.
I can replace it.
They don't show that. They don't show that.
Oh man, I can actually afford to go to a decent, hospital. Going to some crazy doctor in the slums.
I ain't got trauma platinum, but I got trauma silver.
Trauma gold, if you will.
So,
oh man.
So that's what I said. I feel like I'd do it if I was rich. If I could be a spoiled Arasaka brat, sign me up.
Sign you up.
But if I start dirt poor,
I mean, but I guess you wouldn't necessarily like, you don't control that though. You're just born.
That's the point. That's the point that I'm making. Because I'd be damned if I got to get my mom's ashes out of a vending machine and I don't light the whole bitch up. I'd be damned. You got me fucked up.
Hey, that was kind of fucked up though. Motherfucker didn't even hand him his mother ashes personally. Like you said, the shit dropped out of a vending machine. So inhuman.
I'm lighting the world up. Everybody wrong.
Where's the human compassion?
It ain't there. That's my whole point. If you're not rich, if you're not like at the tippity top, because even if you work as a corpo, they still treat you like shit. Like,
damn, bro. No pause. Because I didn't think about that. I'd be pissed too. My mother's ass just roll out the damn vending machine.
Oh my god! Like the only reason I feel like David didn't do that, like David didn't just go on like a really bad like beating somebody's ass spree is because because of his mother.
Oh my gosh.
But me personally, I took that personal, and I would have everybody. It wouldn't have just been the one bully at school. It would have been everybody. Everybody could have got it. It's.
That's your villain origin story.
My mother's ashes come out of a vending machine.
Oh my god.
That's it.
I can't stop. Oh my god.
Who worried about cyber psychosis? You should be worried about these bullets.
Oh, I got tears. Because I just thought about how mad that would actually piss me off, and I
What?
oh my gosh. Oh, it's not funny. It's not funny, but I'm laughing because it's so fucked up, and because like I agree with him 100%. Like that's probably my villain origin story right there.
Right there.
Oh my gosh.
Like it would never happen. Currently, we're not that bad, so it wouldn't happen. But I'm just trying to like when that happened, and when I asked this question, I feel like to my other friends, I always like imagine that part because I'm just like if that happens. It's over with. Yeah, everybody's fucked. Like I don't.
I'm creeping up. Oh shit. Oh, you gotta stop. You gotta stop. Oh my god. I cannot. The first victim would have been a doctor too.
Right there. He could have been just doing his job. But guess what? You made me a murderer because you put my mama in a vending machine.
Oh shit. Oh my god. Stop it right now. Oh
That's
my
it.
gosh.
That's it. I'm done. I'm ready to give my rating.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that was the laugh of the week right there. It's not funny, but it was fun. Oh my gosh. I'm really over here cramping up right now. Like I'm having back spasms right now from laughing too hard. Oh my gosh.
What can I say? That'd be it right there.
Yeah. Actually, now I want it. New Cyberpunk EdgeRunners, Alter Reality, where David goes crazy. He's a villain,
and it would have been just as justified. I feel like. Yeah, no. So that's why I'm like, you couldn't put me in that world unless I was well off because you're gonna have to they would have to send a Shonen Pro tag after me. The moment after that happened.
They're going to have to send the MC after you, huh?
Yes, the moment after that happened.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. Gotta move on. I cannot keep sitting here laughing at this. Gotta move on. Oh, man. 10 out of 10 for me.
10 out of 10?
10 out of 10.
Who? Yeah, I was actually... So, for me, it's a personal thing. Like, I feel like... I'm on the edge. I'm like 9.5. The only reason is because I was like 10 out of 10. You gotta see it. Not saying that I feel like I can recommend this to anybody, but I'm not saying it's like a must watch. But you should, if you have the time. You're crazy if you don't at least watch like an episode. Like,
so is that necessarily considered a must watch?
I don't know. I'm conflicted. I
guess like, are you saying that because of like? All the gore and nudity is why
like
you're not necessarily saying.
No, because that doesn't bother me. But I do know for some people it would. So maybe that's why I'm like a 9.5. But like, there's also a thing where like, well, no, that doesn't discount it either. Because there are other shows where I'm like, same tropes are hit, and I still think it's a 10 out of 10. So I don't know. But some of my thing is like just giving it like a 0.5 down from not being like a 10 out of 10. But this is amazing. Check it out. Recommend to your friends. Get some tissues.
Oh man,
rewatch it a couple of times.
Oh man, I am gonna rewatch it again. I think when I rewatch it again, I'm gonna watch it in the sub because I watched it in the dub.
I hear both are very well. The reason I didn't care for dub, I did dub was like this is The game would technically the studio that made it even English. It's like Dutch or German. I don't know. But I was like, they made the game for English audiences, so I'll stick with English. But regardless, amazing show. Studio Trigger does amazing artwork, all that stuff. I couldn't honestly ask for anything more other than just like give me another series in this world and let me see the differences or play out like how stuff would be different if David had it, or if like we just focus on character with different origins or something like that. Like it, I don't know.
Oh man,
very close to a 10 for me. Very close.
Oh man, I need the villain origin story now. I can't stop thinking about it. I hate you.
coming to a theater near you. Cyberpunk Cyber Psychosis fucking edition. Like I don't know.
I hate you.
I had to speak my truth. That would be my truth in that moment. That would everybody could get it.
This is the last straw.
Everybody can get it. I would get chromed out that day, knowing I would become I would become a cyber psychotic.
My man really said, "This is my villain origin story right here. This is it." As soon as you see his mother's ashes rolling down, yep, that's it. That's it.
I don't want to like belabor this point because we need to wrap up. But you are not treating my mother's remains the same way you treat a fucking Pepsi can. That's not what's happening here. And if you think that's what's happening, everybody can get it. Everybody got to get it.
That's probably the fucking norm there. If you're not like rich or anything.
That's what I said. I was like, you gotta. I can't do it unless I am well off. I don't know what middle class looks like in this universe, so I can't say that. But unless I'm well off, if I never have to think about that, we're good. Because the moment I gotta think about it, you will have to send the Shonen Pro tag after me.
Okay. Oh man, damn, that was hilarious. Like I said, but we gotta wrap this up though. Oh my gosh. Oh, let us know down below in the comments your opinions on Cyberpunk EdgeRunners. Do you think it's a masterpiece? Do you not love it? Do you hate it? If your mother's ashes rolled out the vending machine like a soda can, would that be your villain origin story? Please let me know because somebody gonna have to die. Somebody got to die. I don't know who it is. Well, I do know who it is. Starting off with the doctor. After that, it's just. Hey, it's just up for grabs at that point. Mm-hmm. But yeah, let us know down below. Would that be your villain origin story as well? McMillian, you can go ahead and take us on out of here.
All right, guys. As always, appreciate you for watching / listening. For the watchers, please consider giving us a like, subscribe, commenting down. Like Ace said, what you how you felt about this show and what would your reactions be to like if you lived in this world, or would you even like take that deal? Would you just be like, nah, like I would? For my audio only listeners, please consider giving us a review and sharing us. It helps the growth. As always, you can follow us on our social media at Gurren Otaku Council on Instagram and Facebook, and at Gurren Otaku's on Twitter. Do look out for our and I also like to say do look out for our GLC news episodes, which we'll be doing a lot of recently. But come fall, we'll be getting back to our regularly scheduled program. So just look out for that. As always, guys, hope you guys enjoyed the episode and also take your time to enjoy some great anime. This is Gurren Otaku Council signing off. Meeting adjourned. Sorry, guys, I've been doing the news too long. Peace.